Chapter 3181, 3181 Blood-Changing 5 Transformations. Chapter 3181, 3181 Blood-Changing 5 Transformations. 3181 Blood-Changing 5 Transformations. Lian Shuarong lightly sent out a palm strike, blocking this punch from Ling Han. Their fist and palm didn't truly come into contact. Instead, they were separated by at least 6 meters, and a fierce collision of power had already taken place. The dust on the ground was sent flying, turning into a mushroom cloud. Ling Han felt a powerful power rebound back at him, causing him to involuntarily retreat continuously. On the other hand, Lian Shuarong was standing firmly. Sigh, this was still inferior to blood transformation tier. Are you trying to defy the heavens? Lian Shuarong couldn't help but exclaim. Am I? Ling Han shook his head, and said, I'm considerably inferior to you. Lian Shuarong was speechless for a moment. Brat, could it be that you want to defeat me with the cultivation level of Meridian Opening tier? She shook her head. Do you know what cultivation level I am at? Blood transformation tier, Ling Han said. This wasn't a secret. I am indeed a blood transformation tier cultivator, but blood transformation tier is the same as Meridian Opening tier. It is similarly divided into several minor levels of cultivation level. Lian Shuarong said seriously, blood transformation tier, as the name goes, one has to transform all the blood in one's body. Ordinary blood is red, so after the first change, the blood turns purple. In a fierce battle, one can make the blood boil, and for a short period of time, burst out with twice, or even 3 times his usual power. In the second transformation, the purple blood turns black, and the blood is so strong that it solidifies and forms pillars. This is called the condensed blood pillar. In the third change, the black blood turns silver, and blood can condense into the appearance of a fierce beast from the ancient age. It would soar out, and could kill with its aura alone. This is called the condensed blood beast. In the fourth transformation, the silver blood turns gold, and blood can be condensed into a weapon, and the murderous aura becomes even stronger. In the fifth transformation, golden blood turns into crystalline color, and blood condenses into a human form that has endless uses. Lian Shuarong spoke of the 5 levels of the blood transformation tier, paused, and said, I am now in the third transformation, condensed blood beast. As she spoke, silver-colored blood rose from her body, turning into a 3-legged bird, endless viciousness surging out from it. Even with Ling Han's temperament, he still faltered. This 3-legged bird made him feel a strong pressure. Even if it was just staring at him like that, it was enough to greatly reduce his strength. Condensed blood beast, this was a suppression of cultivation level. I'm already standing at the 3rd level of the blood transformation tier, and you actually want to fight me to a tie. Should I say that your courage is commendable, or should I say that you're stupid? Lian Shuarong shook her head. Ling Han chuckled upon seeing this. The gulf between them was far too great. Then how far is the gap between me and the 1st level of the blood transformation tier? He asked. Lian Shuarong pondered for a moment, then said, in the 1st level of the blood transformation tier, power tier starts from 100,000 kilograms, and your current power has definitely reached 100,000 kilograms. It is not the slightest bit inferior to a newly advanced blood transformation tier. In fact, it has even surpassed it. However, once you have advanced into the blood transformation tier, one would be able to boil his blood, and burst out with 2 to 3 times the usual power. This is an advantage that you cannot hope to attain. Ling Han nodded. Even if he only had 100,000 kilograms of strength, if he could increase it by 2 to 3 times, reaching 200,000 kilograms or even 300,000 kilograms of strength, just how terrifying would that be? This wasn't the overlapping of power. Just like a 7 meridians, even if he could overlap 10 layers of power, would he be able to withstand a punch from a 10 meridians? This was the advantage in terms of cultivation level. In essence, this was a crushing advantage. However, boiling blood also has a time limit, no more than 10 minutes. Then, it would need at least 5 to 6 hours to calm down, and those who need longer may even need a day, depending on the individual. Lian Shuarong said, so if you can avoid these 10 minutes or so of a power burst, then it would not be difficult for you to match, or even defeat, a blood transformation tier. Ling Han nodded. Unless his power could be further increased, would he be able to withstand the explosive power of 200,000 kilograms or even 300,000 kilograms? He would only be crushed into dust. No one had made it a rule that if one defeated an enemy, they had to suppress them head-on. Using one's strengths and avoiding one's weaknesses was the way to go. How exactly do you cultivate? Lian Shuorong was curious. I know that a great many prodigies can break through the limit of 50,000 kilograms of strength at the peak of 12 meridians, but even Tuoba Tianhuang only seems to have about 75,000 kilograms of strength. Compared to you. She shook her head. This gap was really too obvious. Ling Han's expression became solemn. He really could not underestimate the people of this world. Tuoba Tianhuang could be called the strongest of the younger generation, and was even acclaimed as an extraordinary prodigy that would only appear once every 100 years. He was indeed very awesome. He chuckled, I don't know either. I'm just cultivating like usual. Regarding the matter of the extraordinary 8 meridians, he definitely couldn't tell anyone. Lian Shuorong didn't think about this either. She only thought that Ling Han was born with extraordinary talent, and the pressure-bearing ability of his meridians far surpassed that of ordinary people. He could allow power to surge out at a terrifying speed, and his explosive power was astonishing. This was something that others could not envy, no matter what. By the looks of it, you really might be able to get the first place in this martial arts competition, she said. Then, her expression became very strange. Previously, when Ling Han found out about the martial arts tournament, he had asked what the prize for the first place was. At the time, she had thought that Ling Han was dreaming, but now that she thought about it, could it be that this guy had long since known that his strength could improve so rapidly? Or was it that this guy was too shameless, and had soaring self-confidence? Go, fight for first place, and also make our Shenqing banner proud. The day after tomorrow, I will bring people to cheer you on. Lian Shuorong waved her hand. Ling Han hurriedly left. He was really afraid that Lian Shuorong would cancel his leave and make him return to the army from tomorrow onwards. After he left the base camp, he did not directly return to the city. Instead, he began to practice in a desolate neighborhood. He wanted to know his maximum battle prowess. The limit of power he could release was 9 meters. This didn't increase by much. Previously, it was already 6 meters. He didn't expect his power to increase so much, but the distance didn't increase by much. Additionally, in the case of overlapping layers of power, it was 15 layers. This was only under normal circumstances. If he channeled the brother monkey cultivation technique, he could attain 20 layers. Even if it's a blood transformation tier cultivator whose blood is boiling, as long as I avoid a head-on confrontation and deliver 20 layers of power, I don't believe that there is anyone I won't be able to defeat, Ling Han murmured. His battle prowess limit was equivalent to 20 blood transformation tier first change cultivators attacking at the same time. Who at the same cultivation level could block that? He returned to his quarters, and began to anticipate what kind of rewards he would obtain in the martial arts tournament that would be held 2 days later. A day later, he received an invitation, which was sent out by the city lord's residence. As it turned out, the day after tomorrow was the 18th birthday of the young miss of the city lord residence. Since I've received an invitation, what kind of birthday gift should I prepare? Ling Han rubbed his chin. He couldn't go empty-handed, right? I'll take a look at pill recipes. What women care about the most is naturally looks, especially beautiful women. The lifespan of the people in this world is extremely short, so their appearances also age easily. In that case, the effects should be quite good if I give you an everlasting youth pill. Alright, let's go to the online platform and see if there are any pill recipes like this. Ling Han immediately did as he said. He opened the optical computer and began searching. Chapter 3182 Everlasting Youth Pill. Chapter 3182 Everlasting Youth Pill. 3182 Everlasting Youth Pill. Everlasting Youth Pill was the favorite of women, especially beautiful women. Who didn't want to preserve their most beautiful side forever? Ling Han soon saw the information about Everlasting Youth Pill on the trading platform. Of course, it wasn't a completed pill, but an incomplete recipe. In the last era of civilization, there was indeed something like the everlasting youth pill. However, with the destruction of this civilization, the recipe for the everlasting youth pill had also been destroyed, and had not been completely passed on to this day. On this pill recipe, there was only an introduction to the effects of everlasting youth pill, as well as the color and smell of the completed pill, and the method of assessing its quality. As for the specific ingredients needed, a corner of the page was missing. There wasn't much missing. At most, there were 4 medicinal ingredients missing. However, no matter how the alchemists of the modern era studied it, they were still unable to complete it. Fuck, even the incomplete recipe has to be sold for 10,000 Dark North coins. Do you really think money comes from the wind? Ling Han looked at the transaction information, and couldn't help but grit his teeth. However, only one person had made the deal, so Ling Han could only accept it and bid on the pill recipe. What could be seen on this page was only the introduction to everlasting youth pill's functions, and below it were a great many messages, most of which were left by females, begging some grandmaster to repair this pill recipe for the benefit of the world. After Ling Han paid, it wasn't long before the complete pill recipe appeared before him. He scanned the ingredients, then went to find out the specific uses of each ingredient. Then, he began to ponder. In the Genesis world, everlasting youth pills also existed, so what Ling Han had to do was very simple. He had to make a comparison between the two, and from there, find what was on the missing corner of the page. After only half a day, Ling Han murmured, "I have 3 options, but I don't know which one is the most correct." He immediately went to buy medicinal ingredients, then began to concoct alchemical pills. The everlasting youth pill had very low requirements for formations, so it was very easily matched. Ling Han released his spiritual power and activated the formations. Then, his spiritual power transformed into a hand that threw one medicinal ingredient after another into the formations. Using his spiritual power to grab medicinal ingredients would further decrease the impurities. No matter what, his hands would eventually be stained with something, but in the Genesis world, Ling Han's strength was too strong, so his hands naturally wouldn't be touched by the slightest bit of dust, so it didn't matter. Thus, Ling Han was gradually developing the habit of using his spiritual power to grab medicinal ingredients now. This was only an elementary level alchemical pill, and was very easy to concoct. 2 hours later, Ling Han succeeded with a single attempt. Let's try the other 2 options. He also concocted the everlasting youth pill that corresponded to the other 2 options, totaling 14 pills. He analyzed the 3 types of everlasting youth pills one by one. With the Alchemy Emperor's strength, he immediately made a judgment. The everlasting youth pill that he refined from the second method would have the best effects. The effects of the other 2 types are about 3 years, but this one is 5 years. Furthermore, it can also make one's skin glow. Ling Han nodded, and resolutely threw away the inferior goods. How could the Alchemy Emperor sell inferior goods? This should also be able to sell for a high price. I'll go find Mo Guohao and give him the pill recipe as well. I'll take a direct share of the profits, which will save me some energy. Otherwise, with more and more alchemical pills that I have to refine, how will I be able to spare the time to concoct this? It doesn't matter if I earn less. The fundamental purpose of my alchemy isn't for money, but to increase my strength and make preparations for Luan Xing and the others after they come out. Ling Han made a trip to Mercy Medicine Hall. It was really coincidental. He had just arrived at the entrance, when he saw Zhong Yangbi walk out from within. The other party also discovered him at the same time, and his eyes immediately became fierce, as if he wanted nothing more than to devour him. Ling Han, he forced out through gritted teeth. Ling Han acted as if he had not heard anything. He entered into the pharmacy, and directly went up to the 2nd floor. Mo Guohao had long since instructed the staff that Ling Han could come and go freely here. He was ostentatiously ignored. Zhong Yangbi clenched his fists, filled with fury. He really couldn't figure out why his master would be so polite to the deputy captain of Shenqing Banner. Wasn't it because that he was just a little better at fighting? But no matter how good he was at fighting, how could he compare to Tuoba Tianhuang? There's no way I'm going to swallow this, he thought. How could Ling Han possibly care? He went up to the 2nd floor and entered Mo Guohao's study. Mo Guahao just happened to be drinking tea after going through his accounts. Young friend Ling, how come you have the time to come and play today? Mo Guahao asked smilingly. He knew that Ling Han was an alchemy mania. Otherwise, there was absolutely no way he could have concocted 900 meridian exploration pills in a single week. He was practically like a maniac. Speaking of which, he still didn't understand how Ling Han had managed to concoct so many meridian exploration pills. This was because even if he had a 100% success rate and concocted them 24 hours a day, there was still far from enough time. Ling Han took out a bottle of alchemical pills and placed it on the table. He said, "This is everlasting youth pill. Pu." The pitiful Mo Guahao had just taken a sip of tea, yet all of a sudden spluttered out, causing him to cough endlessly. Was this for real? Young friend, you are really going to defy the heavens. He hurriedly grabbed the pill bottle, opened it, and poured out a pill to carefully observe. Regarding Ling Han's natural talent in alchemy, aside from feeling rueful, he had nothing else to say. After a while, Mo Guahao revealed a shocked expression, and said, "This is indeed everlasting youth pill. It completely matches the description on the pill recipe. This smell, this color, and," he pinched a bit, then nodded, "and this smell, after ingesting it, there is a kind of vitality factor. He was even more stunned. There is actually a sliver of whitening effect. This wasn't just the everlasting youth pill, it was practically the whitening everlasting youth pill. Young friend. His face was filled with excitement. The modifications to the Meridian Exploration Pill and the Mystical Power Pill benefits the nation and the people, enough to allow your name to be remembered for 100 lifetime. However, the completion of the Everlasting Youth Pill can truly bring you mountains of gold and silver. Oh, does the Everlasting Youth Pill have such great effects? Ling Han asked with a smile. This is not a question of whether one's abilities would improve or not, but rather a question of how much a woman would be willing to pay for this item. Mo Guahao was extremely rueful. Though the main force in this world for making money is men, the main force for spending money is women. And having one's youth last forever is every woman's dream. For the sake of your dream, how much are you willing to pay? He countered Ling Han's question. To the point of bankruptcy, Ling Han said. He was speaking the truth. Just look, he had spent more than 10 million without batting an eyelid. Wasn't it all for the sake of speeding up his cultivation? That's right, Mo Guahao said with a smile. Thus, even if everlasting youth pills are sold for 100,000 each, I guarantee that the supply will not be able to meet the demand. No matter how large the quantity, there is no need to worry about not being able to sell. Ling Han nodded and said, I want to gift this pill recipe to you. In the future, I'll take 10% off the profit of every everlasting youth pill that you sell. Hiss. Mo Guahao looked at Ling Han in shock. He had just analyzed with Ling Han how popular everlasting youth pill would be, but in the next turn, Ling Han was willing to part with the pill recipe, and only take 10% of the profits. A good person? No, this was so good that he had practically become an idiot. Chapter 3183 Gifting Pill Recipes. Chapter 3183, 3183 Gifting Pill Recipes. 3183 Gifting Pill Recipes. Young friend, are you really willing to give the pill recipe to me? Even with Mo Guahao's personality, he still couldn't control himself, his heart trembling madly. Ling Han was nonchalant. This kind of low-level alchemical pill could actually only earn some money from those at the lower ranks to satisfy his present cultivation needs. You see, if he really reached the blood transformation tier, or even a higher cultivation level, could money still buy the ingredients he needed? Impossible. When one had reached a certain height, it would definitely be an item exchange, a treasure exchanged for another treasure. Not only the everlasting youth pill, but also the modified version of the mystical power pill and the meridian exploration pill. The conditions are all the same, Ling Han said. Mo Guahao was already numb with shock. No, he corrected his previous assessment of Ling Han. This was not a good person, nor was he an idiot, but rather, a saint. That's right, he was definitely a saint. He was filled with integrity. No, 10% is really too little, at least 50%. After Mo Guahao came back to his senses, he hurriedly said with a serious expression. He only had to obtain any one pill recipe, and he would have the confidence to become extremely wealthy. Gathering all 3 pill recipes, the seat that belonged to the richest man of the Dark North Nation would be beckoning at him. You will be in charge of skill, cost, and manpower. I have only offered the pill recipe, so 10% is enough, Ling Han said with a smile. No, 40%, then 40%. Mo Guahao insisted. If outsiders saw this, they would definitely call them 2 idiots. Wasn't it? There was actually someone who was willing to sacrifice their profits for nothing. What else could it be but an idiot? In the end, after much persuasion, Mo Guahao finally managed to convince Ling Han to accept the proposal of 30% share of the profits, which made him sigh in relief. It wasn't that he didn't want to earn money, but that Ling Han had too much room for development. In future, he would definitely become a big shot in alchemy. At that time, if word got out that he had taken advantage of Ling Han, then everyone would be able to drown him to death just by spitting at him. Being a merchant was naturally beneficial, but one's heart couldn't be black. Ling Han gave the 3 pill recipes to Mo Guahao and told him to immediately advertise the everlasting youth pill. However, the actual sale date was set for next month. Although Mo Guahao didn't understand, in his heart, Ling Han had already leaped to the level of a god, so he naturally agreed. Regarding Ling Han, he was completely impressed. Even though he was a middle-level alchemist, and was superior to Ling Han, unknowingly, he had already placed himself in a lower position. For some people, prodigious talent overflowed, and could not be measured by age. Ling Han returned in satisfaction. Now, he didn't have to spend time on these 3 types of alchemical pills. Instead, he could study more profound pill recipes. Unfortunately, his spiritual power was still not up to standard, and he was unable to construct the middle-level formations. He was still unable to set up that killing formation. In fact, he was not even able to create a formation foundation. Huan Shui, how's your cultivation going? Ling Han called his little handmaiden over. She had also gotten some benefits from the rich man's formation previously. Young master, Huan Shui is now an 8 meridians, the little female attendant said excitedly. All right, try to reach 12 meridians as soon as possible, Ling Han nodded. Huan Shui will definitely work hard. The little female attendant clenched her fists tightly, filled with motivation. She had a wish, and that was to obtain powerful strength, so that she could be by Ling Han's side. Then, she would be able to stay by Ling Han's side for the rest of her life. Otherwise, she would always worry that she would be abandoned one day. The little handmaiden continued to cultivate with the spirit-gathering formation, while Ling Han sensed the 3rd extraordinary meridian. Every minute of cultivation time was precious. However, the more meridians that were opened, the more difficult it would be to take another step further. By midnight, Ling Han still did not succeed, so he could only give up and go to bed. Peng! Suddenly, a light sound woke Ling Han up. He raised his upper body, and his spiritual power surged. It had already surged into the courtyard, and clearly sensed the 2 figures. It was one of them who had shot out a punch, breaking through the psychedelic formation in the courtyard. Terrifying blood surged all over his body, and he could sense it very clearly. Being able to forcibly break through this psychedelic formation with brute force only meant one thing: this person was a blood transformation tier cultivator, and added with his boiling blood, there was no need to doubt it at all. These 2 people were masked in black robes, and held swords that shone brightly in their hands, exuding a sinister air. Assassins. Ling Han immediately thought. Previously, 2 had come, and in the end, one had been killed by the little female attendant, scaring the other away. He had not thought that so long had passed, and the latter would make a comeback. This time, an elite of the blood transformation tier had been mobilized. Head-on confrontation, or retreat. Ling Han only had a single thought before deciding to face this attack head-on. Peng! He directly broke open the window, and stood in the courtyard. Blood surged. This was only the first cultivation level of a blood transformation tier elite, so he wasn't afraid of a battle. If it was a condensed blood pillar or even condensed blood beast, he would definitely run away immediately with his little female attendant. Yi, Such good senses, a black-robed man said. He chuckled coldly, however, in the end, you are only a meridian opening tier elite. Old shoe, you stand guard. If the girl comes out, kill her, and I will deal with this brat. All right. The other black-robed man nodded. Their mission was very simple, and that was to kill Ling Han. As for Huan Shui, as long as it did not affect them, they would not kill her. That was because they would be collecting money if they killed someone. How could they kill someone for nothing if they were not going to be paid for it? Ling Han smiled calmly. Who sent you? You're already close to death, so what's the point of asking so many questions? The assassin in black looked at Ling Han balefully. All right, if you must know, my name is Zhong San. I'm Li Sai, the other man in black said with a chuckle. Ling Han shook his head and said, I'll inscribe these two names on your tombstones. Die. Zhong San charged over, his sword sweeping out like a rainbow. Ling Han clenched his hand into a fist and punched out. Peng. With the release of his power, Ling Han was unafraid of the sharpness of his weapon. With a loud bang, Ling Han's figure retreated, but Zhong San also took a few steps back, his boiling blood wavering. What? Li Sai saw this, and couldn't help but look shocked. Ling Han was clearly only a meridian opening tier elite, so how could he rival a blood transformation tier elite? Though they were not the best of the blood transformation tier elites, there were only a total of 7 blood transformation tier assassins from Hell. Under the suppression of a major cultivation level, in terms of power, Ling Han only had a slight disadvantage. Hiss. Zhong San was also stunned. Fuck, he had been screwed over by the intelligence again. Previously, it was said that Ling Han only possessed 10 meridians. In the end, the organization sent out 2 silverplate assassins with 12 meridians, yet they were killed and defeated by a woman. They only managed to escape after using a rare treasure. Now, they sent out 2 elites of first change blood transformation tier, and in the end, a man ran out, and his strength was unbelievable. Could it be that the assassination mission was just a foil, and the purpose was to screw over their Hell organization? Again, Zhong San made a comeback, his sword soaring into the sky. After exchanging a blow, Ling Han was already confident. He laughed loudly, and charged towards Zhong San. Peng. 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 The two of them exchanged blows. Though Ling Han's power was slightly inferior, it wasn't by much. They exchanged blows. Li Sai was completely speechless. This was too ridiculous. Chapter 3184. A Good Romance. BQG 6. CC Face Retaining Pill, women's favorite, especially beautiful women, who doesn't want to preserve their most beautiful side forever. Ling Han soon saw the information of the face retaining pill on the trading platform. Of course, it was not a finished product, but a remnant recipe. In the previous civilization, there was indeed something like the face retaining pill. However, with the destruction of this civilization, the recipe of the face retaining pill was also destroyed and could not be completely preserved to this day. On this pill recipe, there was only the introduction of the face retaining pill, as well as the color, smell, and judgment method of the pill. As for the specific materials needed, it was missing a corner. There were not many, at most 4 medicinal materials, but no matter how much modern alchemists studied it, they could not make up for it. Damn, the remnant recipe is also selling for 10,000 Xianbei coins. Do you really think money comes from the wind? Ling Han looked at the transaction information and couldn't help gritting his teeth. But only this person posted the transaction, so Ling Han could only accept it and bid for the pill recipe. What could be seen on it was only the introduction of the function of the face retaining pill. Below it were many messages, most of which were left by women, imploring a master to restore this pill recipe for the benefit of the world. After Ling Han paid the money, the complete pill recipe appeared in front of him. He glanced at the materials, then went to understand the specific use of each material, and then began to think. In the Yuan world, there is also the face retaining pill, so what Ling Han has to do is very simple, that is, to compare the two and find the missing corner. In less than half a day, Ling Han murmured, I have 3 plans, I don't know which one is the most correct. He immediately went to buy medicinal materials and then began to refine pills. The face-retaining pill has very low requirements for the formation, so it is easy to match. Ling Han sent out his mind power to activate the formation, then turned his spiritual force into a hand and threw the medicinal materials into the formation. Using mental strength to grab medicinal herbs would further reduce the impurities. No matter what, his hands would always be stained with something. However, in the Yuan world, Ling Han's strength was too strong. Naturally, his hands would not be stained with the slightest bit of dust, so it didn't matter. Therefore, Ling Han was gradually developing the habit of using mental strength to grab medicinal herbs. This was just a low-level pill, and it was very easy to refine. After 2 hours, Ling Han succeeded on his first try. Let's try the other 2. He also refined the Ajarasia pills corresponding to the other 2 plans, a total of 14 pills. He tasted each of the 3 pills, and with his abilities as the Alchemy Emperor, he immediately made a judgment that the second method would have the best effect. The other 2 can maintain one's youth for about 3 years, but this one lasts for 5 years. Furthermore, it can make one's skin glow. Ling Han nodded and decisively threw away the defective product. How could the Alchemy Emperor sell defective products? This should be able to sell for a high price. I'll go find Mo Guohao and simply give the pill recipe to him. I'll take a cut directly, and it'll save me some effort. Otherwise, I'll have to refine more and more pills, and how will I have time? It doesn't matter if I earn a little less. The fundamental purpose of my alchemy isn't for money, but to increase my strength and prepare for when Luan Xing and the others come into being. Ling Han made a trip to the benevolent heart medicine hall. Coincidentally, he had just arrived at the door when he saw Zhong Yangbi coming out from inside. The latter also discovered him at the same time, and his eyes immediately became fierce as if he wanted nothing more than to devour him. Ling Han, he said through gritted teeth. Ling Han acted as if he didn't hear anything. He entered the medicine hall and directly went up to the 2nd floor. Mo Guohao had already instructed the employees that Ling Han could come and go as he pleased here. He was magnificently ignored. Zhong Yangbi clenched his fists, filled with fury. He really couldn't understand why his master would be so polite to a deputy captain of the Black Azure banner. Wasn't he just good at fighting? But no matter how good he was at fighting, could he compare to Tuoba Tianhuang? I definitely won't swallow this insult, he said in his heart. How could Ling Han care? He went up to the 2nd floor and entered Mo Guohao's study. The latter just happened to have finished settling the accounts and was drinking tea. Young friend Ling, how come you have the time to come over and play today? Mo Guohao asked with a smile. He knew that Ling Han was an alchemy maniac. Otherwise, he definitely couldn't have concocted 900 vein probing pills in a week. That was practically like a madman. Speaking of which, he still couldn't understand how Ling Han had concocted so many vein probing pills, because even if he had 100% success rate and concocted for 24 hours a day, the time was still far from enough. Ling Han took out a bottle of alchemical pills, placed it on the table, and said, "These are retaining youth pills." Pu. Poor Mo Guohao had just taken a sip of tea, but he instantly spat it all out, causing him to cough incessantly. Was it real or fake? Young friend, you really are nature-defying. He hurriedly grabbed the pill bottle, opened it, and poured out a pill to observe closely. With regards to Ling Han's talent in alchemy, other than feeling deeply moved, there was nothing else he could say. After a while, Mo Guohao revealed a shocked expression, and said, "This is indeed an retaining youth pill. It completely matches the description on the pill recipe. This smell, this color, and..." He pinched a little and tasted it, then nodded. "And this taste, after taking it, there's a vitality factor, huh?" He was even more shocked. There's actually a trace of whitening effect. This was not just an retaining youth pill, it was practically a whitening youth pill. Young friend. His face was full of excitement. The improvement of the vein probing pill and the secret power pill is beneficial to the country and the people, enough to let you shine brilliantly for 100 generations. However, the completion of this retaining youth pill can truly bring you mountains of gold and silver. Oh, does the retaining youth pill have such a great effect? Ling Han said with a smile. This is not a question of whether or not one's strength can be improved, but a question of how much women are willing to pay for this thing. Mo Guahao was deeply moved. Although the main earning force in this world is men, the main spending force is women. And to keep their youth forever, this is every woman's dream. How much money are you willing to pay for this dream? He asked Ling Han. Let's go bankrupt. Ling Han said. This was the truth. You see, he spent more than 10 million without blinking his eyes. Wasn't it just to improve his cultivation a little faster? Yes. Mo Guahao said with a smile, so, even if a retaining youth pill is sold for 100,000 yuan, it is guaranteed that the supply will not meet the demand. No matter how large the quantity is, there is no need to worry about not being able to sell it. Ling Han nodded. I want to give this pill recipe to you. In the future, for every retaining youth pill sold, I will take 10%. Hiss. Mo Guahao looked at Ling Han in surprise. He had just analyzed with Ling Han how popular the retaining youth pill would be, but in the next moment, Ling Han was willing to give up the pill recipe and only take 10%. A good man. No, this was so good that he was a fool. Reading on the phone was more refreshing. Chapter 3185. A Good Romance. BQG 6. Cease falling in love with you, little friend. Are you really willing to give the pill formulas to me? Young friend, are you really willing to give the pill formula to me? Even with Mo Guahao's temperament, he was somewhat unable to maintain his composure. His heart violently trembled. Ling Han was at ease. This kind of low-grade medicinal pill could only earn the money of those at the bottom of society, and satisfy his current cultivation needs. You see, if he really reached the blood-changing tier, or even higher, would money still be able to buy the materials he needed? Impossible. Once he reached a certain level, it would definitely be an exchange of goods and treasures. Not just the face-halting pill, but also the improved secret power pill and pulse-probing pill. The conditions are the same, said Ling Han. Mo Guahao was so shocked his scalp went numb. No, he revised his evaluation of Ling Han. This wasn't a good person, nor was he an idiot, but a saint. Yes, he was definitely a saint, full of integrity. No, 10% is too little. I want at least 50%. Mo Guahao recovered and hastily said. As long as he obtained any one of the pill formulas, he was confident he would become rich. With 3, the position of the richest man in Xianbei State was waving at him. You provide manpower, money, and effort. I only provide 1 pill formula, so 10% is enough, laughed Ling Han. No, 40%, 40% it is, insisted Mo Guahao. If outsiders saw this, they would definitely say the two of them were idiots. Wasn't that right? There was actually someone who was willing to give away benefits for free. If he wasn't an idiot, then what was he? In the end, after much persuasion, Mo Guahao finally got Ling Han to accept the 30% share, letting him sigh in relief. It wasn't that he didn't want to make money, but that Ling Han had too much room to grow. In the future, he would definitely become a giant in the pill Dao. At that time, if word got out that he had taken advantage of Ling Han, then everyone's spit would be enough to drown him. As a businessman, of course, he did it for profit, but his heart couldn't be black. Ling Han gave all 3 pill recipes to Mo Guahao and asked him to immediately promote the face-retaining pill, but the real sale date was set for next month. Although Mo Guahao didn't understand, in his heart, Ling Han had already become a godlike existence, so of course he agreed. With regards to Ling Han, he was already completely convinced. Don't just look at how he was a mid-grade alchemist, suppressing Ling Han by a bit. Unknowingly, he had already placed himself in a relatively lower position. Some people were brimming with talent that could not be measured by age. Ling Han replied in satisfaction. Now, he didn't need to spend any effort on these 3 pills. Instead, he could delve into more profound pill formulas. Unfortunately, his mental energy was still not up to the standard, and he was unable to construct a mid-level formation. He was unable to set up the killing formation in the end, and he did not even manage to create a formation base. Summon Snow, how's your cultivation going? Ling Han called over his little maid. She had also benefited from the nouveau riche formation. Young master, Summon Snow is now at 8 meridians, the little maid said excitedly. Good, strive to reach 12 meridians as soon as possible. Ling Han nodded. Summon snow will definitely work hard. The little maid clenched her fists tightly, full of vigor. She had one wish, and that was to obtain great strength so that she could guard Ling Han. Then, she could stay by Ling Han's side for the rest of her life. Otherwise, she would always worry that she would be abandoned one day. The little maid continued to cultivate with the spirit-gathering formation, while Ling Han sensed the third extraordinary meridian. Every minute of cultivation was precious. However, the more meridians opened, the more difficult it was to advance further. At midnight, Ling Han still did not succeed, so he could only give up and fall asleep. Peng suddenly, a soft sound startled Ling Han awake. He straightened his upper body, and his mental energy surged. It had already surged into the courtyard, and he clearly caught sight of two figures. It was one of them who had punched out and broken the hallucination formation in the courtyard. A terrifying blood chi was boiling all over his body, and he could sense it very clearly. To be able to forcefully break this hallucination formation with brute force could only mean one thing. This person was at the blood transformation realm. Coupled with that boiling blood chi, there was no doubt about it. These two people were masked with black cloth, and they held shining swords in their hands. They exuded a sinister aura. Killers. Ling Han immediately said in his heart. Two had come before, but the little maid had killed one and scared the other away. Who would have thought that after such a long time, the other party would make a comeback? This time, they had mobilized a blood transformation realm expert. Should he fight head-on, or retreat? Ling Han only had a thought. He decided to fight head-on. Peng, he directly broke the window and stood in the courtyard. Boiling blood chi was only the first stage of the blood transformation realm, so he was not afraid of a battle. If the blood chi was like a pillar, or even a beast, then he would definitely run away with the little maid. What a keen sense, one of the black-clothed men said. He laughed coldly. However, in the end, it's just a small illuminating pulse realm. Old shoe, you guard. If the girl comes out, kill her. I'll take care of this brat. Okay. The other black-clothed man nodded. Their mission was very simple. Kill Ling Han. As for summon snow, as long as it did not affect them, they would not kill her. This was because they had to be paid to kill people. How could they not be paid to kill for free? Ling Han smiled faintly. Which family are you from? Why are you still asking so many questions when you're about to die? The black-clothed assassin looked at Ling Han coldly. Alright, if you must know, I'm Zhong San. I'm Li Sai. The other black-clothed man chuckled. Ling Han shook his head. I will carve these two names on your tombstones. Die. Zhong San charged over, his sword sweeping across like a rainbow. Ling Han clenched his fist and punched out. Peng. With the release of his strength, Ling Han could be unafraid of the sharpness of weapons. With a huge sound, Ling Han's figure retreated, but Zhong San also took a few steps back. His boiling blood chi wavered. What? Li Sai saw this and couldn't help but be shocked. Ling Han was clearly only at the illuminating pulse realm. How could he match a blood transformation realm expert? Although they were not the cream of the crop among the blood transformation realm, there were only 7 blood transformation realm assassins in hell. Under the suppression of a large realm, in terms of strength, Ling Han was only slightly weaker. Hiss. Zhong San was also shocked. F***ck, he had been tricked by the information again. Previously, they had said that Ling Han only had 10 meridians. In the end, the organization had sent 2 12 meridians silver plate assassins, but one of them had been killed and the other defeated by a woman. They had to use a secret treasure to escape. Now, they had sent 2 first blood transformation experts, but in the end, a man had appeared. His strength was so strong that it was unbelievable. Could it be that the assassination was fake, and the intention was to trick the Hell organization? Again, Zhong San made a comeback, his sword flying immortal. After Ling Han's exchange of blows, he was already very confident. He laughed loudly, and charged towards Zhong San to meet his attack. Peng peng peng. The two of them exchanged blows. Although Ling Han's strength was slightly weaker, it wasn't by much. The fight was evenly matched. Li Sai was completely speechless. This was too exaggerated. Reading a refreshing novel was enough. Reading on the phone was even more refreshing. Chapter 3186. BQG6, CC BQG6. CC Young Master. The maid rubbed her eyes. She had been cultivating the entire time today, so she had slept like a log. Even now, she was still a bit dazed. But when she saw the battle going on in the courtyard, she immediately woke up. Don't be nervous. Watch how young master shows his power, said Ling Han, clearly full of confidence. The maid immediately calmed down. She was full of confidence in Ling Han. Arrogant Zhong-san also calmed down. It was inconceivable for someone at the Meridian Opening Realm to possess such power. But no matter what, that was only the Meridian Opening Realm. It was impossible for him to have the power of the Blood Transformation Realm. I'll let you see the true power of the Blood Transformation Realm. He let out a long roar, and his entire body surged with blood chi, wrapping around the blade of the sword, causing the originally blazing white blade to turn dark red, as if it was dripping blood. Sure, the sword actually split apart Ling Han's energy as if it wasn't being blocked at all. Hey! Ling Han was startled. Blood chi actually had such an effect. This is the suppression of secret energy in terms of quality. Little brat, sneered Zhong-san. His sword pressed forward, cold light flashing. Is that so? Ling Han no longer held back. He used the demon monkey fist, and his combat strength immediately skyrocketed. The demon monkey fist was incomparably crafty and agile, but it also didn't lose its domineeringness. It was like an ancient berserk diamond monkey that could even kill a true dragon. The key was that after using the demon monkey fist, Ling Han's strength could stack up to 15 layers. He didn't use 15 layers at once, but 10 layers. But 10 layers was still incomparably terrifying. It was equivalent to 10 Ling Han's combined attacks. If he was hit by it, it would be fatal. Boom! Xiao Chen punched out, and the sound waves stacked on top of each other, forming a fist visible to the naked eye, blasting towards Zhong-san. Break! Zhong-san's sword slashed out, and that fist was immediately cut apart. But that didn't matter. The two halves of the fist still shot towards him, and its power hadn't decreased much. What? Zhong-san was shocked. His attack had the suppression of the blood transformation realm, but it was still unable to destroy Ling Han's attack. How solid was the power of this fist? He didn't dare to take it head-on, and hurriedly dodged. Peng, this punch hit empty air, and blasted into the wall behind him, instantly and soundlessly creating a large hole. Zhong-san and Li Sai sucked in a breath of cold air at the same time. Just how much power did that punch have to be to make such a huge hole in a wall without making the slightest sound? How troublesome, Zhong-san said. I'm going to use my ultimate move. Millimeter Li Sai nodded. The strongest aspect of the blood transformation realm was the ability to boil one's blood chi, increasing one's strength by 2 or even 3 times in a short period of time. Under this kind of crushing pressure, who could resist? Zhong-san let out a soft roar. Hong, his entire body sprayed out a cloud of blood mist. His eyes also turned blood red, and his aura instantly rose to a new height. He didn't even want his sword anymore and threw it aside. His hands turned into claws like a mad wolf. Ling Han shivered. With his blood chi surging, the blood transformation realm could increase his strength by 2 to 3 times. That was extremely terrifying and could completely suppress him. But, come, die, young man. Zhong-san charged over. In that instant, his speed surpassed the speed of sound, and only his mouth could be seen moving. Only when his claws reached did his voice reach him. Ling Han didn't take it head-on. At least 10 minutes was Zhong-san's explosive period, and he definitely couldn't take it head-on. He slid to the side, but punched out with the power of 15 stacks. Child's play. Zhong-san sneered, and struck out with his claws. Peng, the power of Ling Han's punch was immediately shattered. The power of 15 stacks was also useless. Ling Han bared his teeth again. A blood-changing tier warrior in a berserk state was really freakish. Die, die, die. Zhong-san continued to attack. Ling Han dodged, But he definitely wasn't just taking the hits. He also took the opportunity to punch out. Even if it was only the power of 3 to 4 stacks, it was still enough to force Zhongsan to respond. Either he dodged or he shattered it. He definitely couldn't take it head-on, or else he wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. The more Zhongsan fought, the more anxious he became. It had already been 5 minutes, but he still couldn't take Ling Han down. One had to know that he could only explode for 10 minutes. At that time, his battle prowess would return to normal. Forget about killing Ling Han, it was even possible that he would be able to turn defeat into victory. "Old Shu, help," he called out to Li Sai. Li Sai glanced at Huan Shui. She wouldn't be as monstrous as Ling Han, right? However, since the other party wasn't making a move, he wouldn't waste his energy either. His blood chi immediately boiled, and boom, his power skyrocketed. "Xiao," he charged out, his speed even faster than the speed of sound, and punched out at Ling Han. Under such explosive power, ordinary weapons were instead a burden to them. Thus, the two assassins gave up on using weapons, and instead used their hands. This was a part of their bodies, so they were naturally the most adept at using it. Their current strength was around 500,000 jin. If they were hit once, it was guaranteed that Ling Han's legs, arms, and chest would immediately burst open. Ling Han's situation instantly became difficult. His speed actually couldn't compare to Zhongsan or Li Sai. Previously, he could repeatedly dodge their attacks, but that was because he had eyesight that surpassed his cultivation level. Before Zhongsan even pounced out, he could already determine the trajectory of his opponent's attack. Thus, he was able to respond in advance. In this way, he made up for his weakness in speed. But now, two people at the blood transformation realm. Moreover, their blood chi had boiled, and their strength had increased by 2 or 3 times. Each of them possessed a speed faster than the speed of sound, and their strength was so great that they could instantly kill Ling Han. How frightening was this kind of threat? Ling Han's spirit, chi, and essence were uncontrollably raised to the extreme. His brain was working at super high speed, capturing every movement of the two people, and then making calculations to determine their attack trajectory. Thus, he could dodge in advance, and avert danger. At the same time, he was still punching out, affecting the two assassins, and winning himself a bit of time to catch his breath. The movements of the 3 people were extremely fast, and every gust of wind caused great damage to the house. Very quickly, the entire courtyard was turned into ruins. This place was extremely remote, and there were only houses a long distance away. Thus, the commotion of demolishing the house did not attract the attention of the neighbors. Beads of sweat dripped down from Ling Han's forehead like rain. His mental state was extremely tense. Don't be fooled by the fact that he hadn't thrown out many punches, and had been constantly dodging. But now, he couldn't afford to make the slightest mistake, or he would die. Under this kind of burden and pressure, Ling Han felt as if he was walking on thin ice every second, and was on the verge of collapse. But, he persevered. This should also be the effect of Ling Han's super luck value. Otherwise, humans would always make mistakes, and that one mistake would cause eternal regret. 5 minutes passed, and Zhongsan's strength was the first to fall. His blood chi boiling had already ended. Reading on the phone was more refreshing. Chapter 3188. A Good Romance. BQG 6. Cecil Ling Han thought again. Lian Shuarong once said that breaking through to the blood transformation tier would grant one an additional 30 years of lifespan. If breaking through to the ultimate bone tier was the same, then Feng Zixing's lifespan would reach 200 years. In comparison, wouldn't 90 years of age be equivalent to 40 years of age for a normal person? That city lord's name seems to be Feng Ruoxian. TSK, TSK, TSK. It's said that she's as beautiful as a fairy, Pan Hu said, clicking his tongue. His face was full of curiosity and even a trace of yearning. It's said that the city lord intends to betroth this young miss to a prince. However, the current emperor has yet to appoint a successor, so the city lord doesn't dare to make a decision. If he bets on the wrong person, then it'll be terrible. These words couldn't be spoken carelessly. If it reached the ears of the city lord, even if Feng Zixing chopped off his head, probably no one would dare to say anything. Criticizing an important official was a serious crime. Pan Hu dared to say this to Ling Han naturally as a way to express his loyalty. Ling Han smiled and said, "I forgot to ask you, what powerful forces are there in the city?" "Young Master Han, you've asked the right person. I've done a lot of research," Pan Hu said. "The number one force in our Crouching Tiger City is, of course, the City Lord's mansion. City Lord Feng Zixing is the strongest in the ultimate bone tier. It's said that he's already tempered his godly bones 5 times and is qualified to break through to the next tier. In addition, there's an old butler in the City Lord's mansion. It's said that he was chased by his enemies and was saved by the City Lord, so he was willing to be a servant. Now, he's also in the ultimate bone tier, but it's not clear which tier he's on. Below the City Lord's mansion are the 3 great clans, the Zhao, Li, and Wenren. It's said that they all have ultimate bone tier elites. Look at the man in white over there. He's the leader of the younger generation in the Wenren family. His name is Wenren Siue. He's only 34 years old this year, but he's already at the blood transformation tier. And that one in yellow, that's Zhao Zhishu from the Zhao family. He advanced into the blood transformation tier 2 years ago. He's only in his 30s and has a bright future. And this one, Pan, who suddenly revealed a lecherous expression. He looked at a woman wearing a milky white dress, but it immediately attracted the other party's attention. She turned around and glanced at him, but it scared him so much that he immediately broke out in a cold sweat. This was a blood transformation expert. He possessed an absolute suppressive power over ordinary people. A single glance from him was enough to make people lose their courage. That's the Li family's most outstanding flower, Li Ziyue. Don't be fooled by her fairy-like beauty, she shouldn't be too shrewish and ruthless. Pan, who shrunk his head and said, the Liu family had a second generation. Just because he took a few glances at her and said that she was pretty, he was beaten to death. The Liu family is second only to the 3 great powers. They even have a blood transformation expert guarding them. But what use is that? They don't even dare to make a sound. They just let it be. Liang, Ling Han, the tier. Outside, the Pan, while Wan family, outside, Master. Pan family, he outside, 1A, 1, he. Outside of this circle, there were 6 or 7 smaller circles, the scale of which was obviously much smaller. The Liu family, the Yang family, the Qi family, the Hu family, the Long family, and the Tuoba family. These 6 families are under the 3 great families, and each family has a blood transformation expert. It is said that a few of the family's patriarchs are in seclusion. Once they come out alive, there will be another extreme Bone Realm faction in the city, said Pan, who as he pointed at the small circles. These small circles were all centered around one person, and they seemed to be quite hostile toward each other. Occasionally, these small circles would integrate into the larger circle and toast each other. Which one is Tuoba Tianhuang? Asked Ling Han. Why would this martial arts fanatic come here? Pan, who shook his head and pointed to the left. Look, that's Tuoba Gong of the Tuoba clan. His Tuoba Tianhuang's cousin. He used to be known as a genius, but with the rise of Tuoba Tianhuang, his brilliance was completely overshadowed. Ling Han looked over. It was a young man about 25 or 26 years old. He had a dignified appearance and an extraordinary bearing, but there was an indescribable sense of oppression between his brows. He was originally a genius, but he was overshadowed by his own younger clan brother. It was indeed depressing. Apart from these martial art families, there are alchemists and array masters, Pan, who continued. For example, the president of the Array Formation Association, Jiyu Tianhe, and the president of the Alchemist Association, even though they are only at the blood transformation realm, they are comparable to the extreme bone realm. Like my uncle, even though he only has 12 meridians, because he is a middle-level alchemist, he has great prestige in the blood transformation realm. Especially now, with the introduction of the improved secret power pill and pulse probing pill, even the City Lord is full of praise for them. I reckon that he can be included in the extreme bone realm. Of course, this is all thanks to young Master Han. He flattered Ling Han one last time. Ling Han chuckled. As long as Feng Zixing knew that everything was done by him, it was fine. Why did he need so many factions to surround him all day? They were just interrupting his cultivation. Hey, Yang Jun is here. Pan Hu suddenly said. At the door, Yang Jun walked in with large strides, followed by Yang Ziqing. The moment Yang Jun entered, he immediately attracted the attention of many people. This was the #1 genius in Array Dao. His future was limitless. For example, the descendants of the Liu clan, Chen clan, and other second-tier clans all surrounded him and greeted him. Yang Jun appeared modest and polite, but Ling Han saw the arrogance in his eyes. Obviously, he didn't think much of even a blood transformation realm family. He had great ambitions. In the future, he wanted to make a name for himself in the capital and become an all-powerful person in Xianbei country. A killing intent flashed in Ling Han's eyes. He definitely wouldn't let Yang Jun go to the capital. Yang Jun had already hired an assassin to target him, and he still wanted to leave just like that. Wishful thinking. Young Master Han, do you have a grudge against him? Pan Hu asked. Although this guy was ignorant and incompetent, he was very good at reading people's expressions. Oh, that's right. Pan Hu clapped his hands and said in a low voice, "It's said that this guy is pursuing the Black-Green Flag's Flag Master Lian, and young Master Han is in the Black-Green Flag." Hihi, I understand. What do you know? Ling Han swept a glance at Pan Hu. This guy obviously thought wrongly. However, Yang Jun was pursuing Lian Shuarong. He nodded, finally understanding why Yang Jun wanted to target him. At first, he felt that it was inexplicable, but now it seemed that the root cause was Lian Shuarong. However, just because of a bit of suspicion and groundless accusations, he actually hired an assassin to kill. He was too narrow-minded. Ling Han always thought that no matter how talented a person was, as long as he wasn't broad-minded enough, then he was destined to not have a bright future. Young Master Han, what are you doing? Pan Hu was a little flustered, because Ling Han was striding towards Yang Jun. This was the meeting of love rivals. Their eyes were exceptionally red, and they wanted to fight on the spot. Reading on the phone was more refreshing. Chapter 3189. A Good Romance. BQG 6. Cisi Pan Hu was shocked. Was Ling Han going to cause trouble? This was the city lord's residence, and it was also Feng Ruoxian's birthday banquet. If he ruined the atmosphere at this time, how could the city lord let him off so easily? Even if you're favored now, you can't be so unrestrained. No matter what kind of talent you had in the Pill Dao, you still needed to rely on experts. You definitely couldn't get carried away. He hastily chased after him, but Ling Han's legs were too long. Pa, both of his legs strode out. He was unable to catch up. Brother Yang. Ling Han stopped in front of Yang Jun. Yang Jun's gaze involuntarily flashed, and his gaze towards Ling Han was filled with fury. The day before yesterday, he had once again been cursed by the infernal realm. They had even threatened to kill him because he had once again brought out fake information. Ling Han didn't have 10 meridians, but 12 meridians. He even had the strength to fight against the blood transformation realm. To tell the truth, Yang Jun didn't believe it. Even if it was Tuoba Tian Huang, an absolute genius rarely seen in 100 years, he was still unable to rival a blood transformation tier elite. How could Ling Han, a vice-captain of the Dark Green Banner, be able to do so? But he also couldn't think of any reason for the infernal realm to lie to him. So he believed that there were experts by Ling Han's side, perhaps even Lian Shuarong. If a 3 transformation expert acted in secret, then it really could protect Ling Han. Thinking of this, he naturally burned with even more jealousy. But now, this fellow had actually come to strut around in front of him. Haha. He only smiled. In front of the public, especially in a situation like today, he still cared a lot about his image. Ling Han, what are you doing? Yang Ziqing stepped forward. I'm talking to your master. What are you interrupting for? Ling Han laughed, pressing and pushing his shoulder. Yang Ziqing involuntarily retreated to the side. Ling Han pulled Yang Jun into his embrace. Come, let's chat. Who's talking to you? What's there to talk about? Yang Jun wanted to struggle free, But his attainments in formations were not low, and he was extremely talented. However, in martial art, he was only average. His cultivation of 12 meridians was indeed not low, but his strength was far inferior to Ling Han's. How could he possibly struggle free? But other people didn't know that although Yang Jun was pushing and shoving, it was obvious that he wanted to reject and welcome at the same time. Otherwise, how could he not be pushed away? You have 12 meridians, okay, everyone knows that. What a good gay couple. Even after arriving here, they still didn't forget to show off their affection. Pan, who also stopped abruptly, his heart thumping wildly, F***ck, young Master Han really likes chrysanthemums. Ling Han lowered his voice and said, Yang Jun, no matter what you do, it's just a waste of effort. Flag Master Lian is simply not someone you can reach. This sentence infuriated Yang Jun. This was what he cared about the most, but the target that he thought would be easy to deal with turned out to be unexpectedly troublesome, causing him to sink into a quagmire. He was already annoyed to death, and with such mockery from Ling Han, he was naturally even more furious. He couldn't help but forcefully push towards Ling Han. This was an instinctive reaction, and with Ling Han's strength, it should have been futile. But who would have thought that with this pile, Ling Han would actually fall to the ground? He was stunned. What was going on? Yang Jun, you're too ruthless. Ling Han immediately climbed up, pointed at his nose, and said, I was talking to you nicely, and you actually took the opportunity to attack me. Shameless. Everyone was shocked. What was going on? The two of them were just being sweet and affectionate, showing off their gay relationship in public, but now they suddenly turned hostile. They saw clearly that it was indeed Yang Jun who pushed Ling Han with force while he was unprepared, causing him to fall to the ground. Why did Yang Jun lose control like this? He was a well-known figure among the younger generation, a formation master with the most potential. How could he not even have this bit of self-restraint? This is Feng Ruoxian's birthday banquet, aren't you afraid of offending the city lord by doing this? If this can be tolerated, what can't? Ling Han walked over with large strides, and slapped Yang Jun across the face. How could Yang Jun block Ling Han's attack? Pa! This slap landed on Yang Jun's face with incomparable crispness. Awesome. Ling Han said in his heart, who told you to hire a hitman to kill me? Fine, I'll beat you up first to vent my anger. Peng, peng, peng. Under Ling Han's frenzied slaps, Yang Jun could only take it all. How could he dodge? Now you know how to feel guilty. Why did you push me just now? Ling Han said as he slapped. Who felt guilty? Who the F***ck felt guilty? Yang Jun even had the heart to eat someone now. He finally understood why Ling Han would fall with a push from him just now. This guy had dug a hole for him. From the beginning when he came over to greet him, to whispering to each other, to being pushed down, he had created the illusion that he had suddenly turned hostile. I didn't expect Yang Jun to be so humble. He didn't retaliate after being hit. There's no other way. Who asked him to start this? This is the city lord's mansion. If he dares to retaliate, then once the city lord investigates, he will be the main culprit. Speaking of which, Yang Jun really deserves it. If he had known earlier, why would he have pushed the other party? Hey! Who is this person? I don't think I've seen him before. Everyone was discussing animatedly. When these words reached Yang Jun's ears, he really wanted to shout out, who the F***ck deserves it? I was tricked. Unfortunately, after being beaten up so thoroughly by Ling Han, he didn't even have the chance to open his mouth to speak. Once he opened his mouth, he would definitely receive a heavy punch, hitting him until he saw stars and couldn't speak at all. I say, this person should be enough, right? A young man said. He was from the Qi family, and his name was Qi Suifeng. He also had a cultivation of 12 meridians and had a good relationship with Yang Jun. Ling Han stopped. Everyone thought that he would listen to the advice, but then they saw Ling Han glare at Qi Suifeng and say, who the F***ck are you? I'm teaching my grandson a lesson. I don't need you to care. Grandson? Phut, many people laughed. No matter how today's matter was resolved, Yang Jun would definitely become a joke. Yang Jun wanted to kill someone even more. In his heart, he yelled that the infernal realm was useless. They even said that there was no target they couldn't kill. F***ck, Ling Han had already escaped 2 assassination attempts and even humiliated him, the sugar daddy. Qi Suifeng's expression turned cold, and he said, "You've gone too far. This is Miss Feng's birthday banquet. How long do you want to cause trouble for?" He leaped out and then stretched out his hand, grabbing towards Ling Han's wrist. Ling Han chuckled and only lifted Yang Jun up. Qi Suifeng's grab pressed onto Yang Jun's buttocks. Yang Jun's entire body instantly froze. What kind of experience was it to have his buttocks grabbed by a man? Qi Suifeng was also stunned. How could Ling Han's movements be so fast? He actually didn't see clearly how Yang Jun was lifted up. Otherwise, he would definitely stop in time. He snorted and hurriedly stopped. If news of him grabbing a man's buttocks and not letting go were to spread, he really wouldn't be able to explain himself. He wasn't good at this. Phone reading is more refreshing. Chapter 3190. A Good Romance. BQG 6. Cece put him down. Qi Suifeng made his move again, still reaching out and grabbing. Generally speaking, geniuses, or people who thought they were geniuses, all had the same problem, and that was arrogance. They would climb up from where they fell. Thus, Qi Suifeng still reached out and grabbed Ling Han's wrist. This was his goal from the start, and he would not waver. Ling Han sighed, flipped Yang Jun over, and pushed him to the front again. Very quickly, everyone only felt their eyes blur, and then they saw a scene that gave them goosebumps. Qi Suifeng's grab just happened to reach between Yang Jun's legs, and the thing he grabbed was indescribable. Everyone's face twitched, and the women's faces even reddened. It was too shameful to actually put on such a big show in front of everyone. However, some of the Fujoshi's hearts were beating rapidly. This was true love. Ah! Yang Jun let out a scream. A man's lower body was already weak, and in addition, Qi Suifeng thought that this attack would definitely take down Ling Han, so he used quite a bit of strength, grabbing him so hard that his balls were about to break. This kind of pain in the balls made his tears violently flow out. Qi Suifeng hurriedly stopped, and he even shook his hand. F***ck, this time, even if he washed his hand 100 times, he would still have a psychological scar. Ling Han shook his head and said, "So you have this kind of hobby? Then all the more I can't hand Yang Jun over to you. Otherwise, who knows how he will be played by you." Hearing him speak so casually, many people laughed. They naturally knew that Qi Suifeng did not have that kind of hobby, and it was completely caused by Ling Han. But I have to say that this person is very strong. Otherwise, how could he make Qi Suifeng fall for it twice? Hehe, I really watched a good show today. I'm very curious, who is that guy? Ling Han no longer paid attention to Qi Suifeng, and he lifted Yang Jun up, saying, "Why did you push me? If you don't give me an explanation today, I will definitely not let this go." Everyone looked at each other, thinking that Yang Jun was too pitiful. First, he was beaten up by Ling Han, then his D***ck was grabbed by Qi Suifeng. Wasn't that miserable? Now, Ling Han was actually questioning Yang Jun like a victim. It really made the other party want to die. Qi Suifeng also didn't jump out to say anything. He grabbed a man's indescribable part. His face was filled with a constipated expression, and he was still adjusting his emotions. Nonsense, it was obviously a trap set by you. Yang Ziqing could not bear it anymore. He was now tied together with Yang Jun. Ling Han looked at him and said, "What you mean is that I deliberately let Yang Jun push me down and then took the opportunity to hit him? Isn't that the case?" Yang Ziqing said sternly. "Of course not." Ling Han shook his head. "How could I have such strength? Yang Jun has 12 meridians." "Who said there isn't? Even the assassins from hell couldn't do anything to you," Yang Ziqing blurted out. Ling Han looked at him with a smile that wasn't a smile. "I was assassinated by hell's assassins. This matter was not witnessed by anyone, and I've never told anyone else." "How did you know this?" Yang Ziqing knew he had let the cat out of the bag, and his expression changed. He finally realized he had fallen for Ling Han's trap. "Unless you were the one who hired the assassin," Ling Han suddenly shouted loudly. Yang Ziqing took 3 steps back, his face pale. He was completely speechless. In truth, he really wanted to defend himself, but Ling Han's gaze was strangely terrifying, making him feel as if he had been possessed. He was so stunned that he couldn't say anything. Strange, Ling Han hadn't even stepped into the blood transformation realm. How could he have such a terrifying, baleful aura? What he didn't know was that this was because Ling Han had used his spiritual energy. With his endless killing experience, he had achieved a similar effect. What? Everyone's expressions changed. The Hell Realm was an assassin organization, a target of the Empire's strict crackdown. Although it could be said that there were some people who had connections with the Hell Realm to eliminate people they couldn't easily kill, who would dare publicly admit to it? If this person was connected to an assassin organization, then even if it was a prince, with the current emperor's brilliance, he would definitely be executed. Yang Ziqing really had guts, and his brain was also stupid. No, he's talking nonsense. I don't know anyone from the Hell Realm. I didn't hire assassins. Yang Ziqing hastily cried out. He had to disassociate himself from this matter, or he would definitely die without a burial. Then explain how you know I was assassinated by Hell's assassins, said Ling Han leisurely. How would I know you were assassinated by Hell's assassins? What does that have to do with me? Yang Ziqing said, completely twisting the truth. Who told him to let the cat out of the bag, and also in front of everyone? How could he justify himself now? Ling Han smiled faintly. According to the Empire's laws, colluding with an assassin organization and hiring assassins, how are they punished? Not waiting for anyone to reply, he continued, viewed as a traitor, beheaded. Ling Han paused for a moment, and then said, I am the vice-captain of the Black-Green Banner, and I have the authority to enforce the law. I will execute you now. He tossed Yang Jun to the side and strode towards Yang Ziqing. His killing intent was boiling, causing everyone to tremble in fear. Hey! He's actually the vice-captain of the Black-Green Banner. Strange, why can a mere vice-captain come here? Didn't you see him with Pan Hu? Pan Hu must have brought him here. Oh, that's true. Everyone finally knew Ling Han's identity, but they only thought he was Pan Hu's lackey. When Pan Hu heard this, he clenched his teeth in his heart. How could he have such qualifications? Ling Han was an alchemy genius, and even the city lord was full of praises for him. You guys have eyes but can't see. He was immensely pleased with himself, and had no intention of explaining himself. Otherwise, if everyone went to flatter Ling Han, wouldn't that be stealing his position? Now was the best. He could obtain an exclusive pet. Save me. Save me. Yang Ziqing was incomparably terrified, and he shouted to his left and right. But who would pay attention to him at this time? The crime of colluding with an assassin organization was too great. No one could shoulder it, and even no rich and powerful family could. Young Master Jun, save me. I'm doing this for you. Yang Ziqing could only place his hopes on Yang Jun. This was his only life-saving straw. What? Everyone was curious. This was a huge piece of news. So Yang Jun was involved as well. Yang Jun had just caught his breath and almost fainted when he heard this. Whoever dared to have even the slightest relationship with an assassin organization was courting death. Nonsense, he said coldly, brushing it off cleanly. In any case, he didn't leave behind a trace of evidence. The contact with the infernal organization was all done by Yang Ziqing. So, as long as he didn't spill the beans, this matter couldn't possibly be linked to him. Yang Jun, you're so ruthless. Yang Ziqing said sternly. It was clearly you who was jealous of the relationship between Ling Han and Flag Master Lian, and made me hire assassins to kill him. Now, you're actually not admitting to it. For the sake of his own life, he could only throw caution to the wind. Oh! Everyone let out a long cry of surprise. So that was the case. This completely made sense. Who didn't know that Yang Jun was pursuing Black-Green Flag's Lian Shuarong? So, he was jealous and hired assassins to kill. This was reasonable. Yes, it wasn't legal at all. Cell phone reading is more refreshing. Chapter 3192. A beautiful romance. BQG 6. Sisifeng Ruoxian greeted Wenren Siliu and the others with a smile, then eagerly responded to the others with a smile. She was as gentle as water, and did not have the slightest bit of the arrogance of the city lord's daughter, causing everyone to sigh in admiration. She was as beautiful as a fairy, and did not put on any airs, as if she was a child from an ordinary family. Ling Han, on the other hand, shook his head in his heart. A living person had died in front of her, but she did not even blink. How could this be the reaction of an ordinary person? However, it was none of his business. What happened to him? Feng Ruoxian pointed at Yang Ziqing and asked. Little sister Ruoxian, let me tell you. Li Ziyue walked over, pulled Feng Ruoxian to the side, and whispered to her. After a while, Feng Ruoxian walked back, looked at Ling Han, and said, Vice Captain Ling, you did very well. Praising himself, Ling Han was surprised. He had forced Yang Ziqing to flee, causing him to run into Feng Ruoxian in a panic, causing the old housekeeper to attack and kill Yang Ziqing. No matter what, the host would definitely not be happy if someone died at a banquet. However, not only was Feng Ruoxian not angry, she even praised him. This naturally made him feel strange. He nodded towards Feng Ruoxian, and said, My apologies, I made a move at Miss Feng's birthday banquet, and disturbed Miss Feng. Colluding with an assassin organization is not tolerated by the laws of the country. Vice Captain Ling does not need to blame yourself. Feng Ruoxian smiled gently, making people feel indescribably comfortable. No wonder Feng Zixing was so confident, believing that his daughter would definitely become a favored concubine of a prince, and even had a chance of becoming an empress. Whether it was appearance, speech, or cultivation, she had nothing to say. Feng Ruoxian retracted her gaze from Ling Han, and after exchanging a few pleasantries with the crowd, she announced the start of the birthday banquet. Although the city lord did not come, with an old housekeeper at the extreme bone realm overseeing things, who could truly be at ease? Every word and action was extremely restrained. Ling Han did not mind. Once he delivered the gift, he could more or less retreat. The harvest this time was not small. He beat up Yang Jun and killed Yang Ziqing. It could be considered that he had collected half of the debt. Next, there was only killing Yang Jun. Everyone knew that the city lord had the intention of marrying his daughter to the imperial family. Thus, no one was blind enough to try and curry favor with Feng Ruoxian. That was simply courting death. Everyone was well behaved and polite. Ling Han sat down beside Yang Jun. This fellow was currently drinking to drown his sorrows. After making a fool of himself in public, there was naturally no one who was willing to sit together with him now. Yang Jun's expression involuntarily changed. In his eyes, not only was Ling Han a rival in love, he had even become a malefic star now, causing him to feel a chill from the bottom of his heart when he saw him. Next time when you find an assassin, please find someone more powerful. Ling Han patted Yang Jun's shoulder, however, you probably won't have such a chance. Yang Jun looked at him coldly. Do you think you're amazing just because you know how to fight? The lesson you received today was not enough, Ling Han said with a smile. Yang Jun was instantly speechless. If it wasn't for the fact that his strength was inferior, how could he have been humiliated by Ling Han like this? There was no other way. What he specialized in was the formation Dao, but there were no killing formations among the elementary formations. It was basically impossible for him to arrange one to kill Ling Han. No matter how strong you are, in front of Tuoba Tianhuang, you won't be able to withstand a single blow, he said. That's right, in front of Tuoba Tianhuang, you indeed only have the right to kneel. Qi Suifeng walked over and sat opposite Ling Han and Yang Jun. This fellow's ears were quite sharp. It seemed that after suffering a loss at Ling Han's hands previously, he had his eyes on Ling Han. Ling Han swept a look of disgust at him. I don't talk to a damn pervert. Damn pervert. Qi Suifeng instantly recalled the scene of him grabbing Yang Jun's butt and penis, and his face instantly paled. Isn't this all because of you? Ling Han, you should be representing the black-green banner to participate in the martial competition tomorrow, right? Qi Suifeng didn't bicker with Ling Han. How could a disciple of a noble clan be so lacking in self-restraint? What, Do you want to get beaten by me? Ling Han smiled. Qi Suifeng immediately had the urge to flip out. How could this brat's words be so hateful? He forcefully suppressed his anger and said, I can make a bet with you. If you can block 10 moves from Tuoba Tianhuang, I'll eat this chair. What do you want to eat again? Ling Han dug his ears as if he hadn't heard clearly. Qi Suifeng angrily shouted, Eat the chair. This shout was heard by everyone in the surroundings, and all of their expressions became strange. What was going on? How could this young master of the Qi family not think things through and actually want to eat the chair? Speaking of which, could it be that the chair in the city lord's residence was made of special materials to be so delicious? Only then did Qi Suifeng realize that he had been tricked by Ling Han. Veins popped up on his forehead. How could this brat be so hateful? Before he could flip out, Ling Han nodded and said, Fine, I'll bet with you. If I defeat Tuoba Tianhuang tomorrow, you'll eat this chair. These words were powerful and resounding. In a moment, the entire hall became silent. Everyone looked at Ling Han with astonished gazes. What was this guy saying? Defeat Tuoba Tianhuang? Did water enter your brain? You actually said you wanted to defeat that godlike man? Qi Suifeng was also shocked. The bet he had made with Ling Han was that Ling Han would last 10 moves from Tuoba Tianhuang, but Ling Han said he wanted to defeat Tuoba Tianhuang. Was this the same thing? Could it be that the bet was more than 100 times more? That was completely impossible. He laughed and said, Fine, if you can't defeat Tuoba Tianhuang, then you'll kneel on the martial stage for a day. How about it? Fine. Ling Han nodded. Everyone shook their heads. Ling Han was too arrogant. He actually said he wanted to defeat Tuoba Tianhuang. It had to be known that Tuoba Tianhuang was publicly acknowledged to be unrivaled in the Meridian Opening realm. Even the city lord had said that if they were in the same realm, he wouldn't be Tuoba Tianhuang's match. That was just asking to be humiliated. Fine, it's a deal. Qi Suifeng slapped the table. As long as he waited another day, he would be able to see Ling Han's incomparably miserable appearance. He immediately realized he had overlooked something and hastily said, What if you don't meet Tuoba Tianhuang? Hearing that, everyone came to a sudden realization. Tuoba Tianhuang would definitely enter the finals, but what about Ling Han? What if he was eliminated early? This guy was bragging to attract attention. So this was what he was planning. How despicable. Ling Han was also surprised. He hadn't expected Qi Suifeng to think of such a possibility. He shook his head. If Tuoba Tianhuang isn't defeated by me early, then I will definitely wait for him in the finals. Otherwise, it will count as my loss. Those words were domineering enough. Everyone was unable to believe it. Where did Ling Han get his courage from? Fine. Qi Suifeng sneered. Ling Han had said such a thing in front of everyone. If he went back on his word, then he wouldn't be able to stay in Hidden Tiger City in the future. Miss Feng, this is a small token of my appreciation. I wish you a happy birthday, someone said as he presented a generous gift to Feng Ruoxian. The gift-giving segment had finally arrived. Phone reading is more refreshing. Chapter 3193. A Good Romance. BQG 6. Someone started this segment first, and naturally, people presented their gifts one after another. Here, people had a habit, and that was to open their gifts immediately after receiving them. Therefore, in this kind of situation, everyone would give a more precious gift. Otherwise, if they opened their gifts in public, not only would they lose face, the host would feel humiliated, and it would be worse than not giving it at all. Li Ziyue gave a jade hairpin. It is said to be an artifact passed down from ancient times. It comes with a defensive formation. Once it is activated, it can form a shield and block the attack of the illuminating pulse realm. Wen Ren Shiyu gave a broken sword. It can still unleash some of its power. It is said to be able to cut through anything in the illuminating pulse realm. Zhao Zhigu gave a talisman soldier. It seems to be at the blood transformation realm. After everyone went up to give their gifts, their background would be immediately revealed. The aristocratic families that could come here were all elites. Everyone had a very sharp eye, and there were few things that they could not recognize. Yang Jun also went up to give his gift. He was a formation master, so he naturally gave a formation. However, it was not a killing formation, nor was it a psychedelic formation. Instead, it was a puppet. It was only the size of a palm, but once it was activated, it could turn into the size of a normal person. It was vivid and lifelike, and could complete some simple orders. Although it had no practical value, it showed that Yang Jun's thoughts were very clever. If it was a girl, she might be moved by him. Ling Han waited for a while. Seeing that no one else went up, he stood up and walked to the birthday girl. He took out a bottle and handed it over. Many people already laughed. Although everyone's gifts would be opened on the spot, everyone would still wrap them up properly. This was a kind of etiquette, and also showed their sincerity. Just like Ling Han, he directly gave a pill bottle. Haha, too casual. Feng Ruoxian could not help but laugh. Vice Captain Ling is really a person with character. It was unknown whether this was a compliment or a mockery. Ling Han took it as a compliment. He said, "Miss Feng, happy birthday." "Thank you." Feng Ruoxian took the pill bottle and asked curiously, "Vice Captain Ling, what pill is this?" She had eaten quite a lot of pills, but she couldn't recognize what these 10 pills were. Ling Han said, "Beauty retaining pill." "What?" All of a sudden, everyone was shaken and became alert. The female guests even widened their eyes as if they were going to snatch it. However, the crowd soon revealed a doubtful look. The recipe of the face-retaining pill was just finished by Mo Guahao. It was said that it could only be refined next month. Where did Ling Han come from? Fake, it must be fake. Hee, people nowadays are getting better at bragging. Zhong Yangbi walked out. He should have come in when Ling Han and Yang Jun clashed. Otherwise, Ling Han would have noticed him. "Brother Zhong, you're saying that these are fake pills?" Yang Jun immediately asked. He hated Ling Han to death. Of course, he would not let go of any opportunity. Of course, Zhong Yangbi said proudly. He had just been given the recipe of the youth-retaining elixir, and the Compassionate Heart Medicine Hall had not even started to refine the first batch of youth-retaining elixirs. Therefore, if Ling Han claimed that the elixir in his hand was an youth-retaining elixir, it must be a lie. Fake. Everyone was astonished. Ling Han actually sent fake elixirs. I understand. The most popular elixir now is the youth-retaining elixir, and it's also the most favored by women. However, it can't be bought yet. Therefore, he deliberately boasted to attract attention and flatter Miss Feng. This is a big miscalculation. Isn't he afraid of losing his head by giving the city lord's beloved daughter fake elixirs? As they spoke, housekeeper Mu seemed to have woken up from his slumber. He stared at Ling Han with a murderous look in his eyes, as if he would attack at any time. Ha, I didn't come too late, did I? A middle-aged man walked out of the back hall with large strides. City Lord. Immediately, everyone hurriedly saluted. This was the City Lord of Hidden Tiger City, Feng Zixing. He had the power to decide the life and death of the people in the city. Generally speaking, as long as he did not rebel, killing a few people was nothing. Therefore, he was an absolute big shot and deserved absolute respect. Feng Zixing, on the other hand, was very casual. He raised his hand, indicating for everyone to rise. He smiled slightly and said to his daughter, "Open the gifts." "Yes, father." Feng Ruoxian respectfully replied. Her every movement made people feel comfortable and satisfied. Feng Zixing then looked at housekeeper Mu and said, "Old Mu, why is there a killing intent all over your body? Who provoked you?" "Someone sent fake elixirs to Miss," housekeeper Mu said in a low voice, his gaze still fixed on Ling Han. Feng Zixing followed his gaze and saw Ling Han. He couldn't help but smile. "Oh, what happened?" Feng Ruoxian explained how Ling Han had sent the elixirs but was questioned by Zhong Yangbi. She was impartial and didn't even mention her own emotions. According to reason, she should be very angry that someone had sent her fake elixirs. Feng Zixing shook his head in his heart. He naturally knew that it was Ling Han who had improved the 2-pill formulas and completed the beauty halting pill. Therefore, How could Ling Han have sent fake elixirs? He looked at Zhong Yangbi and said, "How can you be sure that these are fake elixirs?" Zhong Yangbi hurriedly replied respectfully, "My lord, the beauty halting pill was completed by my master. This one was fortunate enough to receive this pill formula. According to this one's knowledge, the medicine hall has yet to refine the beauty halting pill. Therefore, this one is certain that these are fake elixirs." Yes, it was reasonable and well-founded. Everyone nodded. From a logical point of view, Zhong Yangbi's deduction was flawless. Feng Zixing smiled and took the bottle from his daughter's hands. He then tossed it to Zhong Yangbi and said, "Then you come and have a taste." "Just what is this thing?" "Yes, my lord." Zhong Yangbi caught the bottle and swept a glance at Ling Han, revealing a trace of complacency. "Brat, you've fallen into my hands this time." Ling Han didn't care. The ugly always caused trouble. Zhong Yangbi poured out a pill. He first looked at it, then smelled it. Then, his expression changed. Damn, isn't this the beauty halting pill? He had received the pill formula, so he naturally knew how to identify the beauty halting pill. Whether it was the color or the smell, it completely matched the beauty halting pill. No way, it really is. Zhong Yangbi didn't give up. He took out a little more and put it in his mouth. This taste, this vitality factor, it was completely the beauty halting pill. Everyone watched, but they discovered that after Zhong Yangbi took the pill, he seemed to have become stupid. He actually didn't have any reaction. Haha, could it be that this is a stupidity pill? Eating it will make you go into a daze. Someone laughed. This caused many people to laugh out loud. However, the city lord was also at the side, so no one dared to laugh out loud. Feng Zixing opened his mouth and said, "How is it? Reading on the phone is more refreshing." Chapter 3194. A Good Romance. BQG 6. Zhong Yangbi didn't want to say anything. He really hoped that the pill he had consumed was a mute pill or a stun pill. That way, he would be able to escape from such an awkward situation. The problem was that this was really an age-halting pill. It would only preserve his youth and whiten his skin. Hey, did you guys notice? His skin seems to have become slightly whiter. That's right, it's even brighter. Everyone exclaimed, especially the women. Their eyes were all shining. To them, this was even more important than advancing 1 or 2 cultivation levels. This is definitely an age-halting pill. Even if it's not an age-halting pill, just this whitening effect alone is enough for me to take it. Look, he only ate such a tiny bit. It's only been a short while, but it already has such an effect. If I were to take one, how terrible would that be? Almost all the women turned into hungry wolves. They stared at the bottle in Zhong Yangbi's hand as if they would immediately pounce on him. Even a well-bred lady like Li Ziyue couldn't remain calm. Her breathing involuntarily became much heavier. It could be said that if this wasn't the city lord's manor, if it wasn't for Feng Zixing overseeing things, this place would have already been in a frenzy. "How is it?" Feng Zixing asked again. This time, there was a hint of displeasure in his tone. F*ck, he dared to let the city lord ask him twice. Zhong Yangbi quivered, and he finally came back to his senses. He couldn't help but smile bitterly and say, "This is indeed an age-halting pill." Even if he was lying now, as long as he called another alchemist to appraise it, he would still be able to come to the correct conclusion. If he dared to lie to Feng Zixing, then his end would be very, very tragic. "Then why did you immediately bite it off as fake?" Feng Zixing asked. Zhong Yangbi was speechless. Previously, he had analyzed so much and was certain that this was a fake pill. Now that it was proven to be real, how was he supposed to explain himself? He thought for a long time before saying, "Vice Captain Ling has a close personal relationship with my master. Perhaps my master gifted it to him. Since you knew of such a relationship, why did you insist earlier?" Feng Zixing asked indifferently. "Furthermore, since he is your master's friend, why did you lose your respect? There's something wrong with your conduct." This last sentence was a little heavy. If he was evaluated by the city lord as a problematic person, would the Alchemy Association still dare to focus on nurturing him? Although alchemists were very special, and the entire group was managed by the Alchemist Guild headquarters, who would dare to go against Feng Zixing in the small territory of Hidden Tiger City? Zhong Yangbi's legs went soft, and he knelt down. His face was pale, and he seemed to have lost his soul. Feng Zixing casually made a grabbing motion, and the pill bottle in Zhong Yangbi's hand flew back into his hand. He then handed it to his beloved daughter. "You have to thank Little Han, this gift is very precious." Little Han. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. When had the City Lord ever called a junior so intimately? From tomorrow onwards, no, from now onwards, Ling Han would no longer be an ordinary vice-captain of the Black-Green Banner, but a favored person in front of the City Lord. They couldn't understand. Was it because Ling Han offered a bottle of face-retaining pills? Although Miss Yu Feng will have a great advantage when she marries into the palace in the future, she can be bought every other month. There's no need to value her so much, right? I really don't understand. Everyone was shocked. This was too hard for them to accept. Feng Ruoxian, however, bowed slightly towards Ling Han. "Thank you, Vice-Captain Ling, you're welcome." Ling Han cupped his hands in return. He walked back, and saw that everyone's mouth was wide open, as if a large bun could be stuffed inside. Only Pan who gave him a thumbs up. Young Master Han was really awesome. Ling Han had just returned to his seat when he saw a young miss and a pretty lady coming over to purchase face-retaining pills from him. 4 women, every minute of their youth was slipping away, so even though they knew that the face-retaining pills would be on the market next month, they still couldn't help but want to get them one day earlier. Moreover, the face-retaining pills definitely couldn't be mass-produced. What if the supply was insufficient? Thus, the person who got them first would be able to retain their youth first. Ling Han then said that the pills were refined by Mo Guohao, and he only had 10 of them, which he had already given to Feng Ruoxian. It just so happened that Zhong Yangbi had found such an excuse for him, so he effortlessly pushed all the blame onto Mo Guohao. As for whether the doors of the Compassionate Heart Medicinal Hall would be broken tomorrow, that wasn't something that Ling Han needed to consider. After drinking the wine and giving the gifts, Ling Han quickly went to bid farewell to Feng Ruoxian. "Miss Feng, can I have a small request?" Ling Han suddenly turned back after taking 2 steps. "What request?" Feng Ruoxian looked at Ling Han with interest. This man was really different from the rest, and very interesting. Ling Han cracked a smile. "I want to ask for something from Miss Feng." When he said this, everyone was shocked and stunned. "Ask for something from Miss Feng? Hiss, are you flirting with the daughter of the City Lord? This is practically courting death. Haven't you heard that the City Lord intends to send Feng Ruoxian into the palace? She's a forbidden item, and you actually dare to have ideas. Speak." Feng Ruoxian maintained a gentle expression from beginning to end, as if she had been trained since young to maintain this kind of calmness and gentleness no matter what happened. "I want to ask for a chair from Miss Feng." Ling Han said, "Previously, I made a bet with Qi Suifeng. If I defeat Tuoba Tianhuang, he has to eat one of the chairs here. I'm afraid that he won't be able to find it, so I asked for one from Miss Feng first." Hee hee. Feng Ruoxian finally couldn't hold it in any longer, and covered her small mouth as she laughed out loud. The others also stared blankly for a moment before bursting into laughter. This guy really remembered this matter. Furthermore, it was the same as eating a chair. Which chair couldn't be eaten? There was no need for it to be from the City Lord's residence, right? For Ling Han to mention it at this time, he was obviously teasing Qi Suifeng. Everyone looked towards Qi Suifeng, only to see that this guy's hands were clenched into fists, and the veins on his forehead were bulging. He was already about to explode from anger. Sigh, what a pitiful guy. All right, please go ahead. Feng Ruoxian retracted her smile, and once again returned to her gentle appearance. Thanks. Ling Han lifted a chair, and swaggered off. Everyone was filled with admiration. Who could bring something back after entering the City Lord's residence? It could only be Ling Han, although it was only a chair. Ling Han hailed a taxi, and returned to his residence. The little maid was curious, and seeing that Ling Han actually brought a chair, she hurriedly asked what happened. After hearing Ling Han's words, her eyes involuntarily lit up, and were filled with envy. Ling Han couldn't help but smile. There's no need to be envious. When your young master soars into the sky like a dragon, you will be even more resplendent than the princess. No, it's not like that. Huan Shu'e hurriedly waved her hands. Huan Shu'e hopes to serve young master for the rest of my life. It's just that Huan Shu'e is afraid that when I grow old and become ugly, young master will feel uncomfortable looking at Huan Shu'e. Ling Han stared blankly for a moment, and then he laughed loudly. This love for beauty was truly in everyone's nature. Even the little maid was afraid of growing old. Phone reading is more refreshing. Chapter 3196. A Good Romance. BQG 6. CC Ling Han wins, the judge announced loudly. Zhuo Jian lay on the ground, his heart dead. After preparing for so long, he thought that he could rise to fame overnight, but it turned out that he had a bad start, often making heroes weep. Ling Han went off to rest. When the first round was over, the 8 contestants immediately began the second round of elimination. About an hour later, the second round began. The main reason was that there were 2 people who fought too long in the first round, and everyone was waiting for them. Otherwise, the other 7 groups would have already finished their battles. Ling Han's second opponent was the victor of the battle of attrition. Both he and his opponent in the last round were good at defense. If the judge hadn't ordered them to attack each other, they would have both been eliminated. In fact, it would have been far from over an hour. If it was just defense, the consumption of energy was very small, and it was very durable. Begin, the judge said. Ling Han's opponent had no intention of attacking. He tried to shrink his body to reduce the area of defense. His strategy was to exhaust Ling Han until he used up all of his energy. Then he would win. This was called the Turtle School of Defense. Ling Han smiled and said, "It's good that you don't want to fight. Let me." He clenched his fist and punched at his opponent. That person crossed his arms in front of his chest to protect himself. Bam! The punch landed, and that person was immediately sent flying. Then, he lay on the ground, unable to get up again. Ling Han wins. The spectators were all surprised. They didn't expect Ling Han to win so easily. His opponent specialized in defense, but he couldn't even take a punch. What kind of power was that? He's this year's dark horse. Yes, his strength is amazing. Don't underestimate him. He might enter the finals. He got second place in his first year. That's not easy. Everyone discussed. They were very optimistic about Ling Han's strength, but no one thought he had a chance to win against Tuoba Tianhuang. After winning 2 matches, Ling Han had already advanced into the top 8. He only needed to win 2 more matches, and he would be able to stand out from the upper half of the group. At this point, there were no more mediocre opponents. His next opponent was actually a woman. Begin, the judge said. The woman was dressed in red. Her beautiful eyes were like a painting, and she was extremely moving. She bowed slightly to Ling Han and said, "Mister, can you let me in? I have always had a wish, that is to see Lord Tian Huang up close. Can you fulfill my wish?" Ling Han shook his head. "No." The red-clothed woman sighed. "This answer really disappoints me." With a shake of her arms, a crescent moon scimitar appeared in each of her hands. Weapons could be used in the competition, but they couldn't be ancient artifacts. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a competition of individual strength, but a clan's heritage. Ling Han did not mind. After he released his strength, the threat of weapons would be greatly reduced. After all, external objects were not as good as his own fists and feet. His pair of iron fists was enough to level the world. The woman in red shouted and brandished her dual blades to kill Ling Han. Ling Han didn't move. He waited for his opponent to enter his attack range before punching out. Bang! Under the crushing force of hundreds of thousands of pounds, the woman's techniques were all useless. Under the crushing force of absolute power, everything was nothing. The woman was instantly sent flying. Her dual blades also flew out of her hands, one to the left and one to the right. Sure, they flew towards the viewing platform, causing a series of exclamations. Ling Han won again. He had entered the top 4. Soon, his last opponent also stood in front of him, but he still defeated her with a single punch. This caused a heated discussion among the audience. No matter who his opponent is, he defeated him with one punch. He's so strong. He might even pose a threat to Tuoba Tianhuang. What a joke, Tuoba Tianhuang is in existence. Even 10 Ling hands together can't be Lord Tianhuang's match. That's right, you're thinking too much. No matter who enters the finals, no matter how stunning, it will only serve as a foil to Lord Tianhuang's strength. Lord Tianhuang's strength has long surpassed reason. In the end, everyone agreed that it was impossible for Ling Han to shake Tuoba Tianhuang's position. The top half's finalists had already appeared. As for the bottom half's finalists, they would only be decided in the afternoon. After lunch, the second half's elimination matches immediately began. Ling Han also stayed behind. He wanted to see what this legendary Tuoba Tianhuang looked like. At the start of the match, Ling Han saw a tall and slender young man with long hair like a waterfall, bright eyebrows, and bright eyes. He had an indescribable elegance, and as soon as he appeared, he became the center of attention, firmly grabbing everyone's gazes. Tuoba Tianhuang. Without anyone's introduction, Ling Han was certain that this was Tuoba Tianhuang. Sure enough, as soon as this person appeared on stage, he received a tsunami of cheers. The entire martial arts stadium was chanting one name, incomparably orderly. Tuoba Tianhuang. Unfortunately, Ling Han did not see Tuoba Tianhuang make a move, because every person who encountered Tuoba Tianhuang would automatically concede. Surrendering without a fight was a great humiliation to a cultivator, but these people did not receive any boos, as if this was a matter of course. Just like this, Tuoba Tianhuang entered the finals without a fight. In terms of difficulty, Tuoba Tianhuang had already crushed Ling Han. Then tomorrow it would be. Ling Han's interest was piqued. Originally, there was no one in the 12 meridians that could be his match. Perhaps Tuoba Tianhuang would give him a pleasant surprise, or perhaps the other had also opened a hidden meridian. Returning to his residence, Ling Han continued to sense the 3rd meridian. He had a feeling that breaking through 15 meridians was just around the corner. However, today's match was a great blow to the little attendant. Although she was full of confidence in Ling Han, the atmosphere of the entire martial arts stadium was one-sided by Tuoba Tianhuang. This made the little maid uneasy, full of worry. If he lost, how great of a blow would young master suffer? She did not dare to think about it. Ling Han cultivated until midnight. His body suddenly shook, a look of pleasant surprise on his face. He had found the 3rd meridian. Unfortunately, without the supply of mystical power of heaven and earth, he could not open this meridian. He could only wait. Early the next morning, Ling Han woke up early and waited for the sun to rise. He immediately began to break through 15 meridians. In just a few minutes, this meridian was suddenly opened. Next was the matter of broadening it. Ling Han practiced for a full half an hour before stopping. It was time to get the prize. Ling Han was full of anticipation. How much could a mystical cloud fruit increase his mental power, and whether it could allow him to reach the intermediate level? He did not consider the possibility of losing to Tuoba Tianhuang at all. Call Snow, bring that chair. Someone wants to eat it today, Ling Han said. Oh. Call Snow did not sleep well the whole night. She had 2 dark circles under her eyes. She carried the chair from the city lord residence and ran after Ling Han. Reading on the phone was more refreshing. Chapter 3197. A Good Romance. BQG 6. CC as Ling Han and Huanxue ran, they would definitely turn their heads. Beauties were always eye-catching, not to mention the fact that she was carrying a chair. Furthermore, Ling Han's reputation was not low either. He had fought his way into today's finals. Even though he would definitely lose to Tuoba Tianhuang, he was still a famous figure. Now that the two of them walked past each other in such a manner, everyone was naturally curious. Isn't he going to participate in the finals? What's going on now? Is he trying to express his disdain? Is he just sitting there to deal with Tuoba Tianhuang? It's a pity that there are no tickets. Otherwise, I would really like to see it with my own eyes. Soon, Ling Han and the little maid arrived at the martial art hall. Seeing Ling Han and Ling Han carrying a chair, the guards were naturally very surprised. However, Ling Han was a finalist today. Not to mention bringing his own chair, even if he brought a rocket launcher, as long as it was not used in the finals, they would not dare to stop him. However, when they entered, they just happened to see Qi Suifeng. T. Seeing the chair Huanxue was carrying, regardless of its style or color, he recognized it immediately. F***CK, wasn't this the one in the City Lord's mansion? Ling Han, Ling Han, you really won't shed a tear until you see the coffin. Do you think you have a chance to win? Chimph, he sneered. When Ling Han saw this, he said to the little maid, cool snow, cold smile. Naturally, Huanxue would carry out her young master's orders without any hesitation. She immediately revealed a stiff, cold smile. In Qi Suifeng's eyes, this was a blatant mockery. Look, I've already prepared a chair for you to eat. Hurry up and wash your mouth. He couldn't help but become furious. Ling Han was detestable, but he didn't expect his maid to be like this as well. Sure enough, like master, like servant. Ling Han, I'm waiting to watch your show. He sneered. It was impossible for Ling Han to win against Tuoba Tianhuang. Thus, he could only act strangely now. Later, he would only be able to cry. Summon snow, make a face, Ling Han said. Oh. The little maid put the chair aside and made a face. Oh, so embarrassing. Qi Suifeng bared his teeth. Ling Han didn't even talk to him directly, and instead used his own maid to mock him. This was really too much. She didn't want to lower herself to his level. In any case, this brat would soon kneel down and say that he had conquered her. I won't lower myself to your level. He swaggered off. Ling Han smiled. He wanted to know if Qi Suifeng would eat this chair. Yes, he was looking forward to it. Summon snow, let's go. The two of them entered the martial art arena. Huanxue went to the audience seats first and sat down. She carried a chair, which attracted the attention of everyone along the way. Did he find the chairs in the martial art hall uncomfortable, so he brought his own chair? Ling Han went to prepare. Since there was only one battle today, he naturally had plenty of time. It would only start at 10 a.m. He closed his eyes to rest, and then someone came to inform him that it was time to go on stage. Ling Han followed the man. When he entered the arena, it was quiet all around. There was actually no one cheering for him. Ling Han was surprised. He knew that Tuoba Tianhuang was very popular, but no one was optimistic about him. Sigh. Immediately after, Tuoba Tianhuang also went on stage. This was completely different. Thunderous applause sounded, and countless men and women screamed at the top of their lungs, excited to the extreme. The difference in treatment was too severe. Ling Han had his hands behind his back. This couldn't shake his spirit. In the Yuan world, he had killed who knew how many geniuses, and in the end, the world respected him. The Yuan world was like this, and this place was no exception. Begin, the referee announced. Tuoba Tianhuang looked at Ling Han, and said calmly, since this is the finals, it's not good to end it too quickly. I'll let you have 10 moves. Make your move. His voice wasn't extremely harsh, but it naturally had a domineering aura that made people willingly submit. Ling Han smiled, and his feet moved, charging towards Tuoba Tianhuang. Tuoba Tianhuang indeed didn't make a move. His feet moved casually, and very quickly, he had let Ling Han's 10 moves pass. I'm going to make my move, he said. His voice was clear, and his jet-black hair shone with indescribable elegance. He made his move. Xiao, a palm struck out towards Ling Han. His hand was whiter than most women's, smooth like jade, and would make women jealous. However, this palm strike was like a heavenly blade that could split the earth, possessing an indestructible might. Ling Han didn't parry, and his feet moved as well, evading all of Tuoba Tianhuang's attacks. Very soon, 10 moves passed as well. I'll return 10 moves to you, Ling Han said calmly. Hiss, everyone on the spectators' stand bared their teeth. Because this was the finals, the venue had even turned on the sound amplification device, and the conversation between the two was clearly transmitted to everyone's ears. Ling Han had actually deliberately let Tuoba Tianhuang have 10 moves. It had always been Tuoba Tianhuang who let others have their moves, and today, he was actually doing so as well. One had to know that if others dared to boast in front of Tuoba Tianhuang, there would only be one result, and that was to be beaten into dregs. But what about Ling Han? 10 moves had passed, and he was still alive and kicking, without the slightest injury. Inconceivable, truly inconceivable. Everyone had originally thought that this finals was just a formality. If Ling Han was smart, he would surrender early, and if not, he would be beaten into dregs. But now, there was a return. This guy couldn't really be a match for Tuoba Tianhuang, could he? Impossible. Tuoba Tianhuang was just too careless, and did not use his full strength, allowing this brat to dodge 10 moves. Yes, that must be the case. These 10 moves definitely made that brat use all of his abilities. As long as Lord Tianhuang is a little more serious, he can instantly obtain victory. Everyone quickly suppressed their shock. Tuoba Tianhuang's invincible might was deeply engraved in everyone's heart. Ahem. Tuoba Tianhuang was also slightly surprised. He nodded. You're not bad, your strength surpasses my imagination. Ling Han shook his head. If this is all you have, you'll disappoint me. Ha 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 ha. Tuoba Tianhuang laughed loudly. You're very arrogant. I'm just stating the facts, Ling Han said calmly. Tuoba Tianhuang waved his hand. All right, I'll be a little more serious. He attacked again. Shua, a palm strike was unleashed, slashing towards Ling Han, forming a terrifying sonic boom. This had not broken through the speed of sound, but it was not far from it. Hiss, as expected of Tuoba Tianhuang, his attack speed is close to the speed of sound. You should know that only those in the blood transformation realm can reach the speed of sound. That's why it's said that Tuoba Tianhuang is the #1 person below the blood transformation realm. No one can shake him. Everyone sighed ruefully. However, the speed at which they spoke naturally could not compare to the speed of Tuoba Tianhuang's attack. This palm strike had already reached Ling Han. Ling Han clasped one hand behind his back, while the other clenched into a fist and punched forward. Peng! Tuoba Tianhuang's palm strike was instantly shattered. This time, the entire crowd was in an uproar. Previously, it could be said that Tuoba Tianhuang was going easy on Ling Han and had not used his full strength, but in that attack just now, Tuoba Tianhuang himself had said that he would be a little more serious. Heavens, Tuoba Tianhuang's seriousness had not dealt with Ling Han at all. Did he need to be very serious? Or was he completely serious? Tuoba Tianhuang finally revealed a solemn expression. The corners of his mouth slowly widened, and his entire person exuded a boundless battle intent. So you're this strong. That's great. He appeared to be extremely happy. I've always wanted to find a draw. Unfortunately, after I advanced into the 12th Meridian Channel, I couldn't even find someone who could withstand a single attack from me. Today, can you let me fight to my heart's content? Reading on mobile phones is more refreshing. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.